Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today it is time to make it mini food, and this is the Cafe Series 2. I have this one and one more in this one, and then I am going into my Series 3 balls. I have a few of those as well, but let's do this one and open it and see what we got. And this is not tearing at all. They are never working, these. Oh well, we do it the hard way. Come on. There we go. There we go. Put that in my little garbage pile here next to me. I will clean that up in a second. Let's just see what we get here first. So let's get into the next layer. Almost. Okay, I give up. I hope it's not a drink. I rather want a cake or some cookies or something like that. Some breakfast. So we have the warnings and stuff like that. And then we have the utensils. I think this is a resin and it is opened up and it's smelling really badly. Then we have a pink one and it looks like that one is trying to get open as well. And I have one yellow and another yellow one and the collector's guide. So let's open up this resin first. That is just a resin. Cheese. Oh, it's a cheese. Oh, yes. No cakes. I'm happy. Let's open the utensils next. Let's make sure there's nothing here. And there is a spoon. There is a topper for the lid of the ball here. Go on. There we go. And then of course the tweezers so that we do not have to touch the resin. Let's take the red one here. Homemade fresh, it says. There is a tortilla snacks chips. Tortilla chips. Oh, that's cool. This one sounds like there are small parts in here. Nice! That's a cute little dish. And then the last one here. Making sure everything is out. That is some, what do you call that? The spices, of course. The tortilla spices. I like the colors here. Oh, that's really nice. So I'm gonna clean this up. No, wait, let's check here. We want to see here. I'm really happy about this one. Yes, it's this one with the tortilla chip. As I said, I have one more of these, and I would really like the strawberries or these choco Churritos, Choco Churritos, Choco Curios. I am butchering this, sorry. And I want this one as well. So we already got that one, and I think, no, we didn't get that one yet. Did I get a drink? I'm not sure if I got one of these drinks, but we actually did get the popcorn here. I made that with my daughter and I got that one. But I would like the strawberries. These, I'm not gonna say that again, or the hot dog. I would like that one as well. But this is gonna be fun. I am going to clean up here a tiny bit and then I will be back. So I have tidied up a tiny bit and I am ready to make this little thingy. So I have my resin and I have the spices here. Ooh, that lid went just went off. These are actually kind of fun. I think I could use them for 1 to 12 as well. So that I wouldn't have to do one of those if I am working on it. Let's open the cute snacks here. See if I can get this back here open. Nope. I will have to find my scissor. To open this up. And there they are. They are so cute. And you could leave a few in the bag if you want to. There is quite a lot of them. And then we have the resin as well. Let me just snip that and open. So this is yellow. This is very yellow. Good. So it says to take all of these and place them around on the tray. Just figuring out how I want to place these. There are so many of these. And I don't want them to be too close at the center because I want this one to go there. And when I look at the how to, it looks very nice. And if someone is actually eating some of them, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna put this to the side for a second. Let me just put the lid on there because I know I am. Oh, that doesn't want to stay. I think it is on there. Good. Because I am going to leave a... Oh, sorry about that. My chair is... Nope. It just popped off. So don't leave it in here because that will get you to have these all over. And now I actually did. Knocked it a bit over here. I'm just going to put this together. So I'm going to have to transfer this into another box later. Anyway, cheese. And using the spoon. Oh, I like the color of this cheese. Oh, I'm not sure that this is the way to do it. So I'm just trying to pour it out instead. It feels like there's not that much in here. And now I got it all over the spoon. I didn't want that. And everything that has not a resin on there will not stay in place. And you won't be able to use the resin as a glue because it needs to be hardened under a UV light. So if you want it to stay here, you might have to find your normal glue and then glue everything down. I'm just trying to get it a little over everywhere. And that's just my cat going crazy. because I don't want it to be lying just like a strip. I want it to be a little more over everything. This way it looks a little more cheesy. I think that's good. Maybe place the spoon here so you could eat it with your spoon if you want to. And I'm not gonna drizzle anything. Oh, I have some resin here. I need to find a wet wipe. And I'm just gonna wipe it off my little bowl here because I don't want it to be all over. And then I'm gonna put this one under my UV light. I wanted to use this with resin and then this on top of there, but it won't harden when it's in this deep bowl. So I am going to take my tacky glue. This is my turbo tacky glue, and I'm just gonna squeeze some of this into my cup here. Put the lid on, and then I'm gonna take my toothpick, and I think actually that is way too much. Let's take off some of this. I don't want too much in there. And actually I think it's better to work in layers than to make too much, but let's see. And I'm just gonna pop in a buttload of this, a ton of this in there, and then mixy. And my glue is going to turn translucent when it's hardened, so I'm not afraid of being able to see the glue. I just want it to be really nice and full of these small pieces of plastic here, so that when it's hardened it looks nice and full. Let me mix in a tiny bit more. I think it can have it. But I want it all to be stuck in the glue so that it will harden and stay in the glue. Maybe I could kind of dip it in here. Making sure it is all touching some of the glue. I think. And now I'm just gonna leave this to dry for a few hours and then maybe give it a tiny bit of glaze when it's all dry. But let me see, I'm gonna leave it like that for now, so I will be right back. When this has all hardened, I'm going to take my Fimo varnish here, my gloss varnish, and give that a tiny bit. And I think I'm going to glue this one on top here when I'm done, but I am going to make sure that this is all hardened before I do that, so I will leave it for a longer time. I have this little mold that I think will fit for the bowl. This is made out of one of the big straws, where I just filled a piece of that straw with some mold putty, and then when it was hardened I cut up the straw and pulled out the mold. So now I am using some white clay that I rolled out on a setting 7 on my pasta machine, so that is fairly thin. And I punched out a circle with a circle puncher that will fit at the end of this little mold. Then I cut a piece of white clay, a strip of it, that fits around the mold. Mine is actually a little too wide. I will correct that after I baked it. But you could make the strip here a tiny bit smaller in the white. Then I am smoothing out the connections between the bottom and the bowl itself, and of course the connection on the side of the bowl. And I used a lot of time to do that. I'm just not showing you all the process here because it took me quite some time to do that. So just take your time with that before you're ready to bake this little bowl. You can leave it on the mold while baking, this way it will stay in place as this, but I am placing it on my glass plate and whitening it a tiny bit in the top. Now for this plate itself, I had these two sizes. One was actually a tiny bit too small and the other one is actually a tiny bit too big for 1 to 12, so I did decide to go with the big one. And this clay really ended up having the exact same color as the original tray, so I was really happy about this. I forgot the name of this one. I think it's teal. I roll a thin snake for the inside ring where the bowl is going to stay, and then I am taking this rolled out clay and I'm placing it around the bowl, making sure it is not touching the bowl too much, and I am trying to make sure that it is not overlaying where it ends, so that I have a nice rounded circle around my bowl. I am going to take my dotting tool and I'm using that to kind of soften out the connection between this little ring and the bottom plate, and I'm just really taking my time with this, and I want it to be really sitting really nice to the plate. I am going to take some of my fimo liquid to use that to kind of soften the clay a tiny bit more, which make it easier to shape it like I want it to. And then I'm just continuing working on this until I'm really happy with the result. For the edge of my plate, I am cutting a long thin stripe of this clay, again rolled out on a setting 7 on my pasta machine. Actually, I think this was a setting 6 on my pasta machine. And this long piece of thin clay, I am going to place that all the way around the edge of the plate here. And I am going to make sure that I don't have an overlay here where it ends. I just want it to be really nice and flush together here. And again, I am using my tools just to make sure that everything is sticking together. And then I am going to bake these two things together in the oven for around 20 minutes before I continue. When it's all cooled off, I am using a tiny bit of the clay. I'm kind of scraping tiny pieces of my clay, and then I am placing it into this little groove that I have on the back side. And I am using a tiny bit of my fimo liquid to make sure everything is nice and neat here on the back side. So on the original bowl, it has kind of a rounded edge here, where mine is very sharp. You can leave it like this, is perfectly fine. But I decided to try to get this rounded off shape. So I rolled out a tiny piece of clay into a long thin snake. And I am going to squeeze that into the corner here all the way around my plate, making sure I'm not making sure I'm not overlapping at the end of it. And then I have this nice little tool that fits perfectly into that edge, so I can kind of use that to soften it out and make this rounded corner shape around the edge. I'm trying with my ball tool here too, but the other one was better. And I'm just working on it until I'm happy, and then it's time for baking again. After baking, I let everything cool down, and I decided, as I told you earlier, to make this a little lower, so I used my scissor to kind of cut off I think around 2 millimeters of the height, and then I'm just sanding this little bowl until I'm happy with the look of it. And the same goes for the little tray or the plate. I am sanding this until I'm really happy with the result of it. Subscribe, like, and ring the bell button. Now for the nachos itself, I took some cupcake colored clay and I mixed it 50-50 with some opaque white colored clay, and I got this color out of it, and I think that is perfect. Then I cut 2 strips out of it, and I colored these strips on both sides, first with the light blue and then a tiny bit of this reddish darker brown blue, and I did that on both sides of the strips. That's very important. And now I am just cutting them out in triangular shapes, as many as I want of these, and I want enough to fill up my plate so it looks full and delicious. Then I have this mold that I made by using some mold putty and pushing it into some sandpaper, some very rough sandpaper. And I am placing one of my nachos on there, and I'm using a peppercorn to give it some texture on the other side, and then I'm just flopping it into the tray until I am happy. Now for the sauce itself, I am taking some of my red scrap clay, and I'm just popping some of that into the bottom of the bowl. And as you did see, I used a tiny bit of fimo liquid to make sure everything will stick together. You can use Bake and Bond as well, but here the fimo liquid is more than fine. I cut out a piece of yellow and a piece of, I think that was what that called. That is, of course, the olive green clay. I cut a piece of that as well. And now I'm just using my needle tool, scratching a tiny bit off the yellows, the green and the red, and I'm putting that into the top of the bowl and placing it down here and there so that I think it looks great. Not too much of the yellow and not too much of the green, a little more of the red, but until you're happy, and everything will stick together, as it's all it's all raw clay that is put together here, so it will sit very fine when you're done with this. So now all we need is the cheese, and I am going to use my fimo liquid, a good big bead of that, and then I'm taking my Faber-Castell soft pastels, and I'm taking this darker yellow, just matching the color. It's this one that I want to, and I'm scraping some of that off to my or into my fimo liquid and mixing that together. When I was happy with the mixing and the coloring, and that was pretty okay right away, I am just going to take this up and then drizzle it all over my nachos. It was a bit sticky and difficult to do, but I think the end result was pretty neat here. And now all you have to do is bake everything one more time. So here is the done result. All I need is a little bit of my fimo glaze on top of the sauce here to make it a little more shiny. So I'm doing that on both of these. And on the little one, I am going to make my cheese a little more shiny because it kind of almost disappeared on me while baking. So I am using a tiny bit of the fimo glaze here to shine them up a tiny bit. And that is all there is for this little craft here. I had a lot of fun with making this little craft here, and I actually think everything turned out really nice. So that was all for today. I hope you will try to do this one. So thank you for watching and happy crafting.